Yes, people, and welcome back to Spurs Kings TV with your boy Ashmatic. We're going to get straight into it. I've got a few guests I want to welcome, but before I do that, please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and you tell a friend to tell a friend. You tell your aunt, your sister, your other mister, your side ting, your side piece, whoever. Make sure you spread this lovely word. I really want to get into it today. So a lot of politicking I'm seeing, and I'm here for it. You know what? I don't mind a bit of anarchy, a bit of energy. So I really want to talk about everyone's thoughts about the transfer window, the lack of it, or maybe we are looking towards the youth. I want to see where everyone sits on it. But to help me get through all of that, I have a few guests, and I'm going to start off with a friend of mine called Ian. How you doing,
Hi
man?
Ash, all right? How are you?
Yes, I'm good, man. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to be
You
here.
enjoying lovely weather and enjoying the sun, getting your hair
It,
tanned up.
it's been nice today. I'm in Scotland, so we don't always get the good
Scottish.
weather, but up in Scotland,
Aye,
an
man.
Ange disciple here. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool. I've also got another guest I've had on before. I want to bring him back, and we need some tactical nous. And who better than Coach Dave? How you doing, my friend?
Yeah, man, all good, man. Enjoying the weather like everyone else. Nice little heat wave to get us through a transfer window where Daniel Levy is doing nothing. So here we are. Yeah, man, all good.
Oh, here we are indeed. Here we are indeed. And also, we've got your hair as well, man. What you saying, man? What you saying, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, man. As Dave said, you know, we're here to talk Spurs, but it's July 30th, and bruv, there's been no movement. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think you've had me on a few times, and I've let the masses know that I just don't play when it comes to my team, and it like I've got no time with it. So
Oh,
as of
I
today
hear
at
it.
9:40.
We're gonna
I'm
get into.
letting you guys know that he's under severe surveillance. He's under severe surveillance.
I see. I hear you, my bro. I know you want to get him in a headlock right now, but I've got other panelists on here, and I want to get everyone's thoughts. For before I get to Ian, because I'll start with you, my guy. I want to speak to the chat. So big yourselves up in the chat. East of TH. I've got him in the chat. I've got Dry Roast Peanut. He said the what stream. I said, hell yeah, like you read my mind. So get info, man. Get into it, man. I said, all right, I will. Dry Roast Peanut back again. We've got Chris. Big up Ash and Ian. Big yourself up, Chris, on the channel. And also we've got Milton saying, keep up the great work, Ash. Love and respect from Australia. Big up to all my internationals in the actual watching along, watching from home on your mobile devices forever. In Andrew Trust, by the way, it's 6:40 a.m. Wednesday morning, and it's like 2 degrees. Damn, how are we hot in Australia? That don't make no sense. But yeah, we move, man. Yeah, big up everyone. If it's your first time tuning in, thanks for coming in. Please do stick around, guys. We've got a lot to talk about, and I want to get everyone's input. Please do get involved in the chat. It's very important that you guys get involved as well. You're part of the community, so I want to hear everyone's opinion. But yes, I want to start by saying this. Ian, have Spurs done a good job in getting rid of 8 players, clearing out all of the deadwood, bringing in the likes of Archie Gray, Bergval, and now Min-hyuk? We're clearly moving in a direction of youth and projects, and we
yeah,
haven't been addressing this for a long time.
yeah.
You've changed their approach clearly when they've gone through the academy lot, and you can see the young players now, they look like they're playing better than more the senior ones. There's a clear distinction. And obviously in January, we saw the likes of Nusa. We were trying to get players in like that. Obviously, we went in for Dube. Of recent note in the window earlier on, we really tried to like press on them. But I feel like a lot of fans at the moment, they're loving the youngsters, they're loving the youth project, and they can see a clear pathway in which the club is moving, a clear strategy. However, there is another side to it, because obviously there is a lack of movement in clubs in terms of economic movements. There's no big super summer signings where you see 100 mil getting splashed here and there. Things have changed quite a bit. But at the same time, we haven't signed any senior players. Does it look like Spurs are lacking in ambition, not spending on proven talent, trying to close the gap on the top 4, top 3? I mean, we finished what 25 points away from Man City and Arsenal, 10 to 12 points away from Liverpool.
Yeah.
The front line obviously needs addressing. The number 6, everyone's talking about we need a number 6. It's a 2001 days after not having any pieces of silverware. Villa look busy. Chelsea are always busy, so Chelsea be doing Chelsea things. Manchester United, they're trying to close the gap. Sorry, some people don't take those teams serious, but like if we're trying to like move the club forward in the right direction, do we have to start like looking at ourselves and thinking, what's going on here, or do we look at the project youth? Where do you sit on this? Are you on left A or are you on B on the right? Where do you sit on it?
I'm probably a little bit in the middle at the moment. I think, it's the 30th of July. If this was the 30th of August, I would be seriously worried. But it's not. I think there's a few things. First of all, we have talked for years, all of us Spurs supporters in the communities and what have you, about requiring to get rid of player after player who's sitting holding a place on in the team. They're taking a salary. They're not good enough when they come on, etc. We're moving them out, and bit by bit. I mean, I don't know why Royal looks like he's going to start tomorrow. I don't quite fathom that, but someone's obviously got something in mind for that. I'll trust them on that for some reason. But Royal looks like he's going. It looks like we're going to be able to get rid of Lo Celso. Reguilon may be more of a problem, but increasingly we are getting rid of a lot of the dross in the side. I think the other thing is that some of these kids. Now, I was at Hearts and I saw the QPR game and I saw the Kobe game on Saturday. And if people haven't seen those games, you have to see it to see how good these kids actually are. We've heard about them, but when you see the Divines and the Donleys coming through, Lancashire is going to be a great player. He has something about him. I'm not sure I can put my finger on it exactly, but he has strength, he has pace, he has power. He knows where the goal is. He may have to go out on loan, but he's going to be a player. I see Brian's come on. Brian will tell you all about Alfie Devine. He's a big fan, and I know why he is. You said about a number 6. I don't think we do need a number 6, and I think this is part of the dilemma. We don't need a number 6 because I think we've got Bissouma, who's started again. He's had a very good pre-season, and let's hope that's the player that we bought from Brighton because he is a top player. The boy Archie Gray is already a first-team player. Whether that means he's a first-team starter is a different matter, but he's a first-team player. The boy Bergval again is going to be in and around the first team. They may be young, but if you're old enough, you're good enough. The boy Archie Moore has been talked about. Yeah, I see that. Sorry, I've had a bit of a problem getting in. I'll try and work this, Tommy. Thanks. No, I'm an ugly bugger. You don't really want to see my face at all. The boy, Mikey Moore has been described by a lot of people as a generational talent. I've seen him for the first time properly. First of all, coming on at Tynecastle when I was there, but also in the other 2 games. And he is a quite exceptional footballer. 16, I know, but Spain just won the Euros with a 16-year-old. So, let's, give youth a chance. But, and there is a huge but, let's not pretend that we are lightweight in 1 or 2 areas. And we're certainly lightweight up front. I don't want to start the season with Son, Richarlison and Johnson as our top front 3. I think that's not challenging. But go back to Ange's press conference last. Where are we now? Where are we? Tuesday. So end of last week, where he said we have our targets, and we still have those targets, and we're working on them now. I don't know who those targets are, There's lots of talk about who they are. Ali Gold turned around and said Chiesa is not one of our targets. We think Eds is one of them, but we don't know. Conor Gallagher is a name that keeps popping up. I have to tell you, he's not a player. He was a player a while ago that I did fancy, but I'm not sure he adds anything to what we've already got. And if he's going to cost us 40, 50 million, I think we can spend that better. We need a striker. Tony was apparently the one. And as I say, I don't know any more than anybody else. But Brentford have bought his replacement, who's now suffered an injury. So I think we just have to. Yeah, Daryl said I'm picking up the chat there. Daryl to Gallagher to Atletico, I believe. Yeah, and I suspect that that's fine. I don't have any great problem. I don't think we're short in midfield at all. Certainly not in the kind of role that Gallagher plays. And Edzia, someone who could open up a defence. Sure, that's the kind of creative player I think we need more of, but not Gallagher. But there's still a month of the transfer window to go. I think if this was it now, I think we'd be disappointed, because I think we all know that little step up we need to what the players we need to make that step up, and we haven't got them yet. But there's still a month to go. But don't underestimate, one, the players we've got rid of that you said, Ash, but secondly, the quality of these young players that we brought in, who are exceptionally good.
Cool, man. You are Scott Hall. What are you telling me, my bro? Is it a thing where the future's bright, the future's lily white, or is this bald head a fraud? Not you, Ian. Now I'm talking about you. Talk to me.
Yeah. You got to apologize to Ian for that, because it's definitely not Ian. No, for me, I do agree with what Ian has said, and obviously, I imagine everyone or most people have watched the preseason games, and definitely the youngsters have earned some respect. My one caveat, and the one thing I do watch out for, especially with young kids getting opportunities in the first team with a big club, is how they fare in actual, like, all-out competition, which is the Premier League. Unfortunately, the Premier League, there is no easy matches, as we all know. And so, it's a baptism of fire very quickly. The good thing is that we will be in Europe this season, and there is more chances for them to, obviously gain the experience. But I've said this in the NSO chat quite a few times, especially while talking with Dave. It's not just the fact that we've promoted youngsters and we've also shown a clear pathway to the first team, which is a good thing over the last year or so. But there is a good amount of experience in that team as well. With Romero, in terms of his age, Vicario, age-wise, Madison age-wise, Basuma age-wise, Son age-wise. But where I not only agree with Ian, but where I fear things right now is that the guys up top. I don't really even want to see
break out there.
Son play percentage like the talent because of age-wise. That's the only reason.
Point.
I would much rather Son play games 60 minutes. Maybe not play in a lesser game. Where we can just rest him. It's true. Lancashire's, he looks.
He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. But I'm assuming he's saying he looks good, but he's not going to be proven in terms of what we need of experience. I'm assuming if that's the case. I'm going to bring Coach Dave in real quick and ask about the youngsters. It's a serious question, because, like, did these youngsters improve any part of the starting 11 or part of the squad? Did they actually get any game time? Do you see any pathways for the youth? And if we do buy players as well, did they block up pathways? Do you know what I'm saying? People talk about Mikey Moore, how excited they are for him. How much time is he really going to get under Ange? How much time is who's the other players? We've got Archie Gray in, we've got Bergvall in. How much time are they really going to get? Are they going to be, pushing for first team football? Is it only going to be Bergvall that's going to get his chance? Everyone's got a lot of hopes for Archie Gray, but we don't really know. We've only seen him at centre back at the moment. We haven't seen him in the midfield, or when we did see him in the midfield, he looked better at centre back, if I'm being totally honest. So, what are your thoughts moving forward of this whole youth project?
I love it. So just from having worked in and around schoolboy football and academy football, I I heard about a few of these kids over the years. I remember I spoke to some of the NSO lot, with our podcast. I spoke to them about Mikey Moore about 18 months ago, and I said, look, remember this name. And we were tracking his progress because, like Ian said earlier, people put him in that generational bracket. They put him in that generational bracket for, especially amongst the kind of scene. Do they improve the first 11? I think I would say Mikey Moore does. I would say Archie Gray does.
Over who? Who does Mikey Moore come in for?
See, now it depends what formation you're playing. If we're going to stick with this 4-3-3, then personally, I put him on either wing, either over a Timo Werner or a Brennan Johnson. If they are starting as your wingers, then he has more trickery than either of them.
Yeah,
and he has a better eye for goal than either of them.
spot on.
He's more reliable.
What is he going to get the chance?
Dave,
Do you realistically think that he's going to get that many minutes where he starts to come in and impact the first team? I know we've seen.
Let's see. Let's see. I know. Angie's not against it, and I know from a philosophical reason, in terms of the club has had to make certain promises to him to keep him away from the clutches of other clubs who've been sniffing around for the past 6-7 months, trying to steal him away from Spurs. As obviously we know his contract situation. He has to, he can't sign officially before his 17th birthday, which is in 2 weeks' time. So in that waiting period, there's been other clubs. Chelsea tried to put an offer for him. A few other clubs, of course, in Europe have been looking at him. And I think that's why he was fast-tracked into the team at the end of last season. I was fortunate enough to be there at Man City, the Man City game. He got a few minutes there, and he said at the end, it was a massive step up. It was, the pace of it caught him off guard, etc., etc. He struggled, to get any sort of fluidity. Obviously, the game was already gone by the time he got on, and he wasn't going to put up any trees. But what we're seeing now is he is a player who can impact a game with 10, 15 minutes to go. He's a player who can do that. My thing is this: if Son is going to play as a striker through the middle, let's say, and you've got a Brendan Johnson, you've got a Timo Werner, it's 1-1 away at, let's say, Fulham. Okay, the game's tight. You need someone with a bit of magic, someone with a bit of excitement. Where before we were turning to Brian Hill to try and do that, or even in the current scenario, Amanda Solomon or whoever. Do you know what I mean? They're not the players who are going to do it for us. Mikey Moore is that guy.
So you think Mikey Moore could potentially bench Son, or you could potentially, because that's basically what was you're saying, either wing, because obviously Johnson, he's been bought for 50 million last summer.
Doesn't matter. But he's been bought for 50 million and hasn't given you 50 million pounds on the pitch. So it's for John. He's not going to bench Son. So Johnson now needs to play as a 50 million pound player. Until you do that, yes, there may be a 16-year-old kid, wonder kid, who's coming in and taking your spot. Okay, that happens. Do you know what I mean?
What do you? Wow, Ian, just to you, do you think like Mikey Moore? Just real quick, I'm going to end it on this, but do you think Mikey Moore is a player that has better qualities in terms of dribbling and ball carrying than a Son?
They're different players. I think they're different players. But what I mean, it's difficult because Son's practically old enough to be Mikey Moore's dad, and someone in the chat there says we got to manage Son's minutes, and I think that's absolutely right. I mean, they both got. I mean, if you look at the similarities, they both got very good balance, relatively low centre of gravity. Both can dribble. They've got a turn of pace, and both have an eye for goal. So on that, if you look at that, and I mean, I have to say, I mean, I agree with absolutely everything Dave said. I think he absolutely nailed it with what he said. Um, um, I think the thing about Moore as well is he can play across the front. Now you wouldn't be playing him at centre forward, but you could certainly see him playing on the right or the left. We've got the thing about that right hand side, the left hand side that worries me is we've got Son, who will be the starter if he's fit in the big games. But then you've got Solomon just back from an injury, but I'm not convinced. Werner, and I get why Ange wanted Werner
Why do you think that was?
because the
Yeah, go on. Sorry, Karen.
yeah, well, because I think Werner, of all the players, absolutely gets how Ange wants to play in terms of getting that ball wide,
But can
getting
he
into
deliver
the
that?
positions.
Can he
But he
deliver?
doesn't deliver. He doesn't deliver in front of goal. If Werner was scoring goals, he would be an absolutely phenomenal player for us.
Is that
But he
not like?
doesn't.
Is there not a lot of pressure on Mikey Moore though to come against Solomon? To be the host for Spurs against Brennan
No,
Johnson?
no. I don't think you understand, Ash. Like this kid, from when I first heard about him as a 14, 15-year-old kid, he was being talked about as a generational. Like this is it. This is what he's known.
Yeah.
We hear this word a lot of the time: generational talents, and obviously it comes to the stage. Like the first time I saw him was against Man City. Got the ball, carried the ball, dribbled, and then he went into traffic. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I can't compare him off the back of that. It's just one senior game, but it's a lot to put on like a whole Spurs hope and a lot of Spurs fans expecting a lot from this Mikey Moore now, and he's got to pick up the mantle where Werner.
I'm not thinking this. I'm not saying he's got to save our season and win us a trophy. What I'm saying is, when we need someone to break open a game as an option within a tactical structure, within etc., he is a better option off the bench than what we currently have.
I couldn't agree with that more, and I think no pun intended, but that's absolutely 100% right. That if you're 1-1 away at Fulham, 10 minutes to go, you're looking for somebody to break open the defence, and you can bring on Brian Gill or you can bring on Mikey Moore. It's anyone who's seen either player play knows it's an absolutely no brainer at all. Mikey Moore has the ability to do that and won't get knocked off the ball the way that little Brian Gill will.
Yeah,
and he's only going to get better.
That I agree with.
You're gonna see. I reckon in terms of how many minutes he gets, if Ange is smart, he'll put him on the Foden plan, right? And he'll play him in the set. Over the next 2 seasons.
What's that?
Next 2 seasons, you'll see him play exactly the same way Pep did it with Foden. Right? I've got this kid who's incredibly talented, but I'm not going to put him in the lineup and make him play all these minutes and starting and playing 70 minutes a game. But I'll do 20 minutes here, 25 minutes here. Maybe in Europa we might see him maybe do 45 here, whatever.
Yeah.
Against certain teams, because I reckon he's at that stage now. And I saw it. I don't know if anyone watched the under 17 competition.
Yeah, watch some parts.
Listen, you can see that kid can probably go and play against Karabag or whatever. Do you know what I mean? In the Europa, if we have that kind of fixture, okay, he's of that kind of quality. If you put the right team around him, he can't be the only player in that team. If you put him in a team with enough senior players around him, let's say he's in a lineup with, let's say he had him on one wing, Kulusevski on the other wing, Son through the middle, then as a front line going away to to Malmo in the Europa League, you don't feel so bad about that.
But isn't the problem like when you talk about Foden and you look at Harvey Elliott and you look at some of those youngsters that broke through, they had more of a settled squad, a squad that knew how to win things, that were challenging for stuff. They had winners, they had experience, they had a lot of players that could show them the ropes, so they weren't relying on a generational talent to get them through. It was more like Foden's generational, yes, and he's got a lot of potential. We can see that, but we're gonna be able to integrate him slowly, and it's less kind of like, oh my days, Foden in the fan base. Like there's
Can I
less
just
foundational. Go on, go on.
yeah? Can I just say something on the one thing I'm gonna say? And I know the word gets flung about a lot, yeah, but I think everyone here is old enough to agree or understand. Foden is not generation. Like we've seen Foden
Well, this
many
is it.
times over.
This is it.
Like he's not generational, and I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not insulting Mikey Moore. He's not generational either. Yeah, but these two are top talents or good enough talents in the case of Mikey Moore because we still see more about him in terms of.
It's gone again.
You just get into it as well.
It's a I was going to
Of
say
like
it's a
this,
pity.
yeah, this generation, like
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
he's just started, but also we have seen him in pre-season play against men. Let's forget the under 17s, under 18s. He's playing against grown men in the Hearts game. He's played against grown men in the QPR game, and even in the Fisel Kobe game. They're like 24 games into their season. They're already fit. They're match fit. He's played against these teams, and he seems to have fared well. So I'm not really worried about him being integrated into our team. And if I'm being brutally honest, I think our team is actually quite settled. Outside of the 22 injuries we had last season, the team knows. Ange has made it very clear who his first teamers are. The people he used regularly, and he's pretty much got rid of most of, if not all of, the dead weight that he wasn't using to a degree or barely used last season. So I do feel it's actually a settled team. What I
Oh,
would say is that I fully agree with Dave in terms of like this ain't a player that you need to be given 90 minutes to. He's not the savior of Tottenham. We need to increase his experience and understanding of the game at this level, not drastically, but incrementally.
okay, I hear it. But if we look at last season, right? Because everyone's saying we're in a more stable condition than last season. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but we look at last season and the last few games, we had Newcastle, we got slapped 4-1 by Newcastle. I can't even see it. Let me show it again. Hold on. So we had Newcastle that beat us 4-0, sorry, 4-0. The following game we lost to Arsenal 3-2. Chelsea, we lost to 2-0. And that Chelsea team wasn't the best Chelsea team, let's face it. It was quite a poor Chelsea team with no firepower. Liverpool taught us a lesson at Anfield, 4-2. We got a result against Burnley. Man City came along. I thought the Man City game was better. We lost that 2-0, and then Sheffield United that were relegated, we won 3-0 right at the end. So, like, have we really improved in anyone's opinion from last season? Have we made any changes? Are we less open? Are we less tactically stronger in your opinion? I mean,
Are,
we've
are
seen
you talking on the basis of pre-season, or are you comparing last season to the season prior to that?
I'm talking about all of it. I just want to hear everyone's thoughts.
Yes.
If I was to go first and say,
Go for it.
well, just exactly like Dave said,
Go for
it would be a yes. You know, I, I'm 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 a I think I'm a pretty realistic fan when it comes to thinking about Spurs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But pundits, commentators, other fans, some of our fans, saw Kane leave in the summer and was like, "Oh, we've lost 30 goals. We're going to finish ninth." This is actually the rhetoric that was out there,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much most of us in the NSO chat were like, Kane will go. People won't know how we're going to play. That this is our chance to actually like learn the system and get higher up the league, and we finished fifth. Like we jumped up 3 places. You just have to call a spade a spade. We finished fifth.
Yeah.
Yes, the tail end of the season didn't look too good. We started messing about. We started chipping in a lot of goals. We chipped in a hell of a lot of goals. And to be honest with you, like somebody who really annoyed me towards the last end of the back end of last season was Poro. I was like, yeah, fine, it's all good and well that you've got the technical ability to go forward, but defensively, he was nasty. And then obviously we had to make changes where we had injuries and Emerson went left back, and that was disgusting. and so on and so forth. And Basuma obviously fell apart. You know, he had malaria for like 6 months. So, you know, that was another issue right there. But I do feel like, yes, we definitely have improved and we are more stable because we've had an entire season in which the manager has decided, I'm not going to change my tactics. You guys are going to understand that this is the tactics and this is how we're going to play. And it's going to be embedded into you guys even throughout pre-season. So now if a player comes in, say in the next week or so, he's the only player that really has to learn that system, you know, like, or understand the system. Whereas last season, it was like an entire team that had to understand the system. So I think we have improved.
What?
Go on.
Sorry.
Go on.
Can I come in there, Ash?
Yeah, go on,
Because
go
I
on.
think that's a really good point as well. And one of the things I've noticed with the pre-season games is it seems to be that the kids understand the system and what's required under we'll call
Why
it
is that?
Angeball,
Why is that?
under Angeball, far better than the senior players do.
Why?
Kids learn faster than old dogs.
Yeah, I that's exactly right. Yeah.
You know, I don't necessarily think like it's just the system. I think also they play football together. So
100%.
you think about it, Lancashire,
100%.
Moore, Divine, Abbott, Hall, just those 5 players there have all, let's say they've played 15 games of football together in a way, in a very positive style of football. If anyone's ever watched the kids play, they play a very positive style of football, etc., etc. Okay, regardless of the opposition, it's because you can take opposition into play or not. If I'm making a certain run, I'm making a certain run.
That's true.
If I'm being aggressive to receive the ball, that doesn't matter about whether the opposition's there. I'm making this run. I'm hitting this pass. I'm taking this risk based on me as a person because I trust the person I'm playing with to do that. And there's a certain connection they have of those 5. You can see it because even Bergwall, he's coming to that setup, and there's certain passes and certain runs he makes they don't pick up on. And there's certain times where he's out of sync because he's played the first 3 games. He played the first half. He was in the first half team, right, or with like some of the older players, and the link up wasn't there. Then he's played with some of the younger ones, and the link up wasn't there because he's obviously still trying to find some of these patterns. So I think it's a bit of mix and match. But what I saw in the last game, the Vissel Kobe game, for the first time was both teams, the kind of first 45 and the second 45, both had some very aggressive patterns. Both took the game to the opponents. They both were playing on the front foot and trying to get the ball forward very well. Archie Gray is another player who I think can improve our first 11. I think.
Don't you think playing Archie Gray when he was in centre back, he was playing a lot better than when he was in the 6 in the defensive midfielder role?
Yes, but I still feel like he'll grow into that 6 role a bit better. I think his passing platforms that he gives us in the 6 is better than Basuma personally. Basuma, it'll be nice to see Basuma do a pass over 10 yards. And I think what we're seeing now from Ange, it started in the Man City game. I want everyone to cast their mind back to the Man City game, okay? What was the first thing we said at 7 o'clock on that Tuesday night? Everyone saw this team sheet and went, oh my gosh, Maddison. He's playing Maddison on the wing. No, he didn't. He played Maddison as a 10. Okay, he played 4-3-1-2. It was the first time we'd seen that all season. And everyone goes, oh my gosh, it's a new tactic. He's now done that in the preseason 2 or 3 times. He did it against Vissel Kobe with Kulusevski in
So what are you saying? Ange's adaptable, yeah? Is that what you're telling me?
Listen, I reckon, and I know I said this in the NSO chat, I'm saying this to as many people as I can say it, because I saw it on that Tuesday night. I was at the game against Man City, and I was in the south stand, behind the goal. I see the whole pitch. That's where I like to sit. As a coach, that's how I like to see the game. And I saw it, I went, it makes sense. Playing that system, I'll put it in short for everyone that's listening, right? Playing that system means you don't have to play 2 wingers, because basically you have an extra midfielder in that hole, and then you have your 2 forwards. Son plus 1 other. Against Man City, I think it was Kulusevski, it was Brendan Johnson, I think it was. and they just play high and wide, and they split your centre backs that you're going up against. It means you're less reliant on your two wingers to get to the byline and do their cutback, crosses, all that stuff, because we have the worst cross completion in the top six. Okay, we know that from our stats from last year. So less reliant on our wingers, great, because Timo Werner and Brilliant Johnson weren't doing it for us last year. So I think Andy's looked at it and gone, how can I get an extra creative midfielder on there? And we've got loads of creative midfielder. We've got a Bergvall, we've got a Madison. We could put Kulusevski in there because Kulusevski wants to play in the middle now. Okay, and then we can go two up top, and it could be one of those wingers plus a Son, or it could be Richarlison plus a Son. It could be a new striker plus Son. If we had to go to get Ivan Toney, what did he do last season? He played top with Neil Maupay in the top two. Okay, we saw it against Spurs. Son plays best when he's got a guy who can hold the ball up, turn around and slip that pass in. Right? We've seen it, Harry Kane, for years. So now you're putting a system in where Son doesn't have to be out wide trying to take players 1v1. He just said, I thought we played with a false nine against City. Everyone interpreted it as a false nine. If you actually looked at it on the pattern of play, the pattern of play was actually as a 10 behind two nines, really. But yeah, it looked like a false nine, but Madison actually came deep and was receiving the ball turning into two high nines. We saw it against Vissel Kobe as well. Kulusevski literally was standing there back to goal and going, feed me. Archie Gray from centre back was going bang, pinging the ball in at every opportunity. So you now have a situation where you have an extra creative midfielder on there. It's an extra creative outlet. It also means that Madison doesn't have to do all the creative work. You could have a formation with Madison and Bergvall in the same team, and it means Sarr doesn't have to sit on the bench, and you can have Sarr and Basuma as a shield, okay, defensively, if it does break down, which means hopefully we don't get hit on the transition too many times. I think go with this, it may help us moving forward.
I'm a visual learner. I am. And so I like to put things on the screen so people can see and understand and give a bit of context. I want to bring Ian in because in possession, I agree with Dave, like the formation tweak where we've got, instead of having, relying on the wingers to create creativity, you've got now an extra midfielder in there. And we saw against Man City, we looked a lot better, a lot more solid, and it looked like the players it suited our team more, because it's all about finding the tactics that suit the profiles that you have in your squad. And I think that's what was addressed there. And since then, I felt even against Sheffield United in our last game when Kulu was playing the false nine, that worked quite well when he was a lot closer to goal. But we haven't spoke about, and I'll be quick on this one, defensively, because the issues are that, and we've highlighted it before in previous shows, where people are worried about the two at the back, and basically the space in behind is where we look exposed and we look quite open. What is that still a concern for you as well? Just looking at
it's interesting, just the way what Dave was speaking about in terms of the way we won't get caught because we'll have the extra midfield player. It does concern me. It concerns me because when you put both your fullbacks up top, and I've seen some. I saw some guy. I'm trying to remember. I think it was against Forest when at the South Stand end. That's because I'm in Scotland, I don't get to as many games as I'd like to, but I was at that one, and I think it was the one that Van der Ven scored, and I'm pretty sure that both Porro and Udogie were in the penalty area at the same time. I mean, that is a way of attacking that is to me is almost unprecedented, to have three defenders like that in the opposition penalty area. The problem is if we don't convert, and there's been some shocking passes and what have you where we've lost possession sloppily, where if you do that, you then with your players, so many of your defenders up front, you're in danger of getting caught, particularly Van der Ven's one of them, because he has the pace to get other defenders out of trouble, and if he's not there, he can't do it. I mean, actually, it's um, uh, with the extra cover, you would hope that we would not lose so many goals. Although I think Ange's system will mean we will concede goals. I mean, at times I think it will be Vindaloo football. You know, we're going to score one more than you, and to some extent that will work as a Spurs supporter as long as we are doing it. I go back though to Archie Gray, and I think. Yeah, again, sorry, it's going to be boring, but I agree with Dave. I think he's natural, although he's played well at centre half. I think to some extent that's almost a training ground for what's going to be needed as a six. I don't think he's a natural centre half, albeit I could be well be proved wrong of that, and maybe in the latter stages of his career he may end up playing there. But I think he's a natural six, and I think he's got a little bit of pace. He's got a bit of strength, probably more than Bissouma, for example, in that
More
role.
strength than Basuma. Wow.
Sorry?
More strength than Basuma, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
What I've seen,
Okay.
what I've seen. I mean, I'm talking about ground duels. Maybe
Right.
not talking about upper body strength. I'm talking about ground duels where there's players running and he can get back and cover. And I think that will be a plus, because I do see him being a regular. I really do see him being a regular. Um, Look, what I think that people had a criticism of, and I think was justified, that Ange had one way of playing, his 4-3-3, and if it didn't work, with his two wide men, and if it didn't work or we lost the ball and got caught up down the flanks time and again, it would be, it would be a problem. And it's absolutely right. I wasn't at the City game and I wasn't at the Sheffield United game, but you could see the shape was completely different, particularly playing the false nine. Well, at least I think we played a false nine at Sheffield. If we didn't, fine. And I thought we had a little bit more about us, and we looked more resilient, and we looked less likely to concede a stupid goal. So I think if the formation is pragmatic, because all good coaches will adjust their tactics and their formations, particularly if they're against strong opposition, then there's no reason to be pessimistic.
I'm going to jump in right now and bring up this from Ali Gold. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see it. And I actually read the article from Inside Football that Ali Gold wrote. And he talks about basically what he noticed when he was at the training ground in South Korea. And he said that there's many goals, 2 corners of the circle, after they played a congested match with 11v11, albeit weighted towards the attack, in a 3-2-5 formation to create the overload. So now what I'm going to do is bring up another screen so you guys can share. You can see, which is a tactics board. Can you see that? So with the 3 at the back, because normally it's a 2. You see there, you got Mickey van der Ven splitting wide, in that position. But normally what we're seeing, if I push everyone up, let's put Kulusevski, Son, everyone's high up, right? Because we play super high. So it's a 5 in there, super high. Then normally it's a 3, right? So we've got the 3 overload in there. And Porro, let's put Porro there. So normally it's a 3-5, and then you've got the Romero. It's really squeezing that pitch, and Mickey van der Ven slightly behind there, but it's more or less they're on the halfway line, if not higher up. High line. And basically with these forwards, let's put them here. That's where we normally get exposed down the sides. So as you can see, Mavidi there, he can download those channels. Poro's out of position, we're getting done. Similar with this side, maybe their fullback push up, overload here, and we're done. Look how exposed we are. Look how much space is in that 5-3-2. So basically what they're saying is essentially Archie Gray, if he's to play, could either play as a third man there. So we've got 3 centre backs, which means Romero could push across, Mickey van der Ven could push across, and Archie Gray could act as the third centre back. So that's what a lot of the top 4 teams do already. They play with 3 in possession, with 2 in the midfield, and then they've got 5 doing what they do, attacking the box. Maybe Son's a bit wider here, Johnson's a bit wider, or maybe one inverts, create an overload in that area, one stays wide, etc., etc. But the point I'm making is here, if you've got a 3 and a 2, now Mickey van der Ven can get back, but then you still got cover from Archie Gray. Your doggy can still help in that position there. So we're less vulnerable, we're less open. And also, if we're playing out from the back, just quickly, it might give us better options when we're playing out from the back because we've got an extra man in there. We've got 5 playing out from the back. So there's more angles, more triangles to play from out the back if teams are trying to press us, because that's where we've made a lot of mistakes in the past when we're trying to play out the back, just real quick. So I just thought I'd bring that up, and I thought that was quite interesting that I saw. So that looks like Ange's changing some of his tactics. Some people call it, chaotic. He needs to invert one of the fullbacks, but I still think he needs to invert one of the fullbacks. I don't think everyone needs to go up. I think 4 can go up, 1 can invert, and I think that can help with a lot of rotation. So that's just my 2 pence on that. But yeah, guys, just talking about the youth project and the way things are going at the moment, I wanted to look at because Santiago's gone, right? Have you guys seen that? Santiago's gone.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And I'll start with Yar because I haven't heard you for a while. So, what are your thoughts on the Santiago business?
Well, to be honest with you, Santiago leaving, 21 years of age, was in our youth setup for a fair few seasons. I tend to like most people, I'm all for giving the youth a chance. Like Ian said, if you're good enough, you should play or you should start. But I always say to people, the step up is not as easy as people think. I know Werner is absolutely garbage, and you're not going to get me to change my tune on that. But that doesn't mean that you go and throw in a Santiago thinking he's any better because he's capable of dubs in some teenagers on the weekend. And I'll be honest with you, with all the small talk, because I wouldn't say it was hype, but small talk that I did hear about him, for him to be picked up by a 2nd division Spanish team doesn't bode well. He was. If you really wanted me to kind of like turn around and be like, okay, let's see how your career goes from here. It would have been more impressive for me if I had a championship team taken. But we'll see where his career goes in the next few years. I don't really see, if you want my honest opinion, I don't really see him being that big of a deal, if anything. I think that he's a decent player at best. And we're talking about Tottenham Hotspurs over here. We're trying to be up there with the best. I don't think he makes it at that level.
Dave, what do you think about this new signing? Because I want us to move on quickly. About this young, I forget his name, man. Young Min-hyuk.
Yeah. I was going to talk about Santiago as well.
You can.
Yeah, okay. I don't know anything about him. I'll be honest, and I haven't looked. He'll be playing against us tomorrow, so I think we'll all have a better idea tomorrow night the kind of player he is. But again, I mean, I think let's not be foolish about this. Son's days are numbered as a Spurs player. A year, maybe 2 at the most. Before he'll really be too old. I don't think he'll have the legs to play Ange ball week in, week out. You see from the supporter that we've got in Japan and we've got in South Korea that bringing in another Southeast Asian player makes massive business sense. Let's hope he's as. I mean, apparently he was being chased. It's not as if we picked up a player for the sake of it. He was being chased and courted by a number of top clubs. One of whom I believe was Manchester City, from the comments made by the chief executive or whatever of the club we bought him from. So yeah, I'm optimistic. But let's have a look. He's another young kid. You know, at the end of the day, we're not going to be playing with a with a team of 18-year-olds. But how soon he'll be ready to play in the first team, I don't know. It might be he'll come in January, and they'll send him out to a championship team or thereabouts. You know, yeah. Daryl said City or Chelsea based on how the CEO described it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dave, what do you think of this Jung Min-hyuk? Have you seen much of him? What do you make of it?
Listen, I've watched more of the K-League football in the past week than I ever watched in my life. And that's just like random clips. I've had footage sent to me from a few people I know that work out there. Just, yeah, random bits and bobs. He looks exciting in the sense that he's, you know, he can use both feet. He can play on either wing. He's very direct, technically looks very secure. And yeah, you know, his stock looks quite high. My thing is always about the physical side of things when you're bringing in players from other leagues. Even, you know, look, you know, you guys know I watched a lot of Bergvall when he was playing in Sweden. Can they play in the Prem? You know, can they hack 38 games in the Prem? That's your bread and butter. You know, we know that Lo Celso couldn't. You know, Lo Celso was great in European football and whatnot, but he wasn't great when it came to your bread and butter of Premier League football. Can you do it? Can this kid cut it when he finally does make his debut for us in that league, in the league for us? Will he be able to do it? We'll see. But he does look exciting. His finishing looks incredible.
That's the one thing I'll say is different to Brian Hill, because when I first looked at him, I said small, like doesn't look like he's got physicality about him. But then I was like, oh, Brian Hill. I remember when he first came, everyone was hyping him. He was like a dribbly type of player, someone that could beat their man, something that we never had. But I think the difference between maybe him and a Brian Hill is maybe the finishing, like you said, the shots that I was seeing.
This kid just wants to go for goal.
He just wants to go. I think that's the difference. I think that's the only little thing I'm like, oh, okay. But I still have my reservations. I still have my doubts. And we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, we'll get to look at him, as Ian said, and we'll get to see it in real time in January, because that's when he comes. But if we are moving in this direction and we're trying to buy better players and put them straight into the academy, there is a player I did look at real quick, and you guys can look at it with me. And I think if we can keep adding to the academy and buying better quality, it might work out in our favor. And his name is, my pronunciation is really bad, Semi Kliskov. Sorry.
Shemi
Klitschko. That's where we're going to go. Shemi Klitschko. 18 years old, Turkish, Dutch national duality. Sorry, Dutch and Turkish dual nationality, but citizenship of Turkey. Can't speak today. And banded on transfer market for 12 million euros, which could be, you know, an underestimation. So it could cost anything up to maybe 15 or 17 million euros, which is still like not a lot in sterling, if we're being totally honest. In that league, in the Turkish league, he scored 11 goals and 3 assists, and that's in men's football. He has had experience in the Europa Conference League as well. So if we bring him as an academy player, possibly we could register him as homegrown in 3 years. And I think that's the direction the club is going. It's not that he just plays forward as well. He plays on either wing. So I know we've got Min-hyuk already. I know we've got Mikey Moore already. I know we've got Lancashire people are talking about. But maybe they're looking at some of the other younger players and are thinking, you know what, we need to upskill. We need to upgrade in this area. And maybe this could be a player to bring into the academy. Here's his heat map, so you can see predominantly plays on that left-hand side, and you know, in the box he's got a few touches there, as you can see already. There's no stats, real proper stats out there that I haven't mentioned already to go a bit more in depth, because the Turkish league isn't covered widely like that by Opta. But I've got some information. and it says other than his 4 assists, created 4 big chances for his teammates as well. And he only played, I forgot to put this in, but he only played 20 games. So 11 goals in 20 games. That's a goal every other game. Also, successful dribbles, 50%. So he basically beats his man every other time. So that's really high in terms of percentage. But here he is, goal threat, getting on the ball, getting in the box, sorry, finishing that ball off. Power on that shot, he just literally laces it, lets it run across his body. Good feet here, out of his feet. Keeper should be doing better, but his power again of his boots, smashing it past the keeper. Here he is on that right hand side this time, using his weaker foot, shooting it again. Again, coming inside, shooting again. Good feet here, cuts inside, chops it, almost gets in the back of the net. Good touch, little bicycle kick. First time foot finish in the bottom corner with the left foot. There he is as the left hand side, coming on the inside, using that right foot. Should do a bit better there. But again, knocks it around the player. Good pace, good strength, holds onto it, good feet, and then puts it through the keeper's legs. Again, on the run, looking for his player, doing a nice little through ball, trying to get his shot off there again. Near post finish. He likes a near post finish right there. In the box, in the danger area. Again, just seeking out where that goal's going to be. Just poacher's goal. Gets ahead of the finish there as well. And again, this is a senior league, senior men's football, Turkish league. He plays for Besiktas, and he's getting in their team now, doing things as an 18-year-old. Here's his feet. Did you see that, guys? I don't know if you saw that. That was a bit mad. I can't lie. And then he puts it top bins. I said, yo, listen, let me pull that back because that was a bit mad. Gets it out of his feet, left foot, right foot, and then hits it top bins. Again, on the end of something, right foot, top corner. First time bicycle kick in the top corner. He's got a lot of confidence, clearly. Beats his man, goes past him, and then tries to go for that near finish. Here's a bit of his flair. Carrying the ball, left foot, right foot, drag back, flicks it through his legs. Quite tricky there. Again, drops the shoulder, holds it up, and then bits it through the legs, then runs down the channel, then brings it into the middle. And then another touch here, physicality there, rolls his man, treads on it, puts it down the line. So I like the look of it. It's got a bit of physicality, a bit of tenacity, drives at players, likes his men, got both feet, can go either way. Trickery, it's a bit unpredictable in that sense. And it's a little bit different to what we have in our academy already. You can see he's a bit raw, but at the same time, he's got the physicality and he's got a good amount of flair to beat his player, able to carry the ball, travel with it, use the instep and find players there. So I just thought, right, let me just bring this academy player up that could improve our academy in that sense. I don't know what you guys' thoughts. Do we need him, or do you think that's something that could improve?
Well, we've got obviously we've got Lancashire, we've got Jude Soonsup-Bell.
You think he will get it?
I'm not too sure. I mean, he's from what? He's from Chelsea, isn't he?
Yeah.
So let's see where that ends up. I don't know. It's a weird one because again, it's about pathways, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree.
You don't want to block too many pathways, and you also don't want to. You don't want to be in a situation where you're just hoarding talent for the sake of it, and then almost wasting your time. You know, because you could get someone in, and then next year there'll be another 18-year-old from Stuttgart. Do you go and get him? You know,
I think it all depends on what the club sees the pathway or the future of Dane Scarlett, because he did turn down a move from FC20, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll be interested to see what happens with Scarlett moving forward, whether he's kept around. I'd imagine he's put out on loan again, and maybe he's holding up for a championship team, or has Angel or the team, have they said something to him? Anyone can jump in at this point, but what are people's thoughts on Dane Scarlett's chances?
He might be done, lads. I think he might be done at Spurs. I think he might be done. I wanted it to work out, but I think he might be done, guys.
I got to say that he scored goals for England at a tremendous rate, but he's gone into the Championship with Ipswich and couldn't get a game. He was at Portsmouth and I think ended up being benched. I think he might be done at Tottenham as well. I think it might be one of those ones where we sell with a a fairly big sell-on clause, or even potentially a buyback option. But I just don't see it. I know a lot of people that that whose opinions I rate very highly, rate him. But the fact is, when you send a player out on loan, that's the point where they're meant to prove themselves that they're going to be good enough to come back and play first team football. I'm just not sure. I mean, I see the comments coming up on the, in the, in the chat that something hasn't got a chance. And look, I get that. I absolutely get that. But yeah, I think he might. I think he might be done, I'm afraid.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Dane Scarlett and also some of the other academy players that are on the fringes? Do you think they got a chance breaking in, or is it done for them? Is it like, do you think Lancashire will go on loan, or do you think he'll hang around? And what do you think about the new guy as well? We bought this guy, Valise, last season, and he was getting a lot of hype at the time, and he was going to be the one that was going to break into the team. And they said they were going to loan him out in January and then bring him back. But has he really kicked on? Because we keep hearing this story about youngsters and players coming in and they're going to get given a chance. And then when it comes down to it, it seems like either A, they're not good enough, or B, it's just, I don't know if I'm not lied to, but it just seems like a hoax. What do you think, y'all?
In terms of Dane Scarlett, I think he should be looking elsewhere. He got brought on. He got given a chance. He's gone on loan. He's had good starts, but something's not clicking. Me personally, I think he should just look elsewhere and kind of like build up his stocks elsewhere, because it's not clicking for him at Spurs. And to be honest with you, we're looking at like other players. He hasn't made the step up. We've just seen what happened with Troy Parrott a couple of seasons ago. People were like, start Parrott, and now he's in the Dutch league. So Scarlett should really be looking elsewhere. In terms of Lancashire, if it was me, I think he's probably better off going on loan and getting some significant minutes, because I don't really want to stifle his growth. And I think that might be good for him. And Valise is an absolute liar. That guy's cooked. Like, I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not playing. He is finished. Yeah, I'm not here for none of this Project Valise. Please, send him right back. Like, it's expired. The milk's gone back. I'm not interested. He's not gonna make it. He's just not gonna make it. Not for me.
Oh, I hear it, guys. I want to move away from this youth thing because everyone's killing it to death. And yes, the youth do look good on the second part when the B team comes on against them. But we'll see what happens, because I always look at the lineup, the first team, to tell me what's really going on. I do see the promise, and I agree with Dave. They've got the chemistry together, so that's why they look a little bit better. And they look a bit fresher and hungry. I think with the youth as well, just to like talk on Gray and Bergvall, they're a lot less fearless, less baggage, got a lot more energy, and they're willing to try things. And it's easier as a coach to kind of embed your philosophy. As you guys were saying, to teach an old dog new tricks is a bit harder, and might have Højbjerg, for example, who's gone out the club, and hopefully Emerson Royal, hopefully he's going tomorrow, because there's another round of talks, and they're like €2 million apart. Apparently, Spurs like to haggle on €2 million, but yeah, hopefully the players we do bring in do understand, and the drop off and the level isn't too much. But I wanted to talk about the second part of the question that I brought up in the first round, and that was about players coming in, like players adding to that first 11. And now, obviously, Conor Gallagher has been linked away from Chelsea to Atletico Madrid, as what was brought up in the chat earlier. And he was meant to be one of the main targets, from what I understand, from what was being mooted. We don't know if it's true, because, Ange has come out and said there's been a lot of misinformation out there. I don't know, innit? But I thought Ange wanted Conor Gallagher, but it looks like he's going to Atletico's agreed terms. He's a Chelsea boy, proper Chelsea, you know what I mean? Cobham boy, through and through. And I couldn't really see him coming to Spurs. Not if the ultras and the actual real Chelsea man them will have anything to do with it. But we started to look at other targets, and Lo Celso was rumored to be moved away, and there was a certain player that's come up, and that player is Jacob Ramsey, and I want to get everyone's thoughts on the Jacob Ramsey slash Lo Celso deal getting done. I think it's meant to be Lo Celso is meant to be 10 or 15 mil, maybe 10, maybe less, and then we pay 35 to 40 mil for the rest for Jacob Ramsey. Ian, I'll start with you. Would you want him?
Sounds expensive to me. Sounds expensive to me in an area of the field where I think we are fairly well equipped. I mean, look, none of us really know. I mean, as far as we were concerned, if you'd have asked me in March, we were getting Conor Gallagher. That would have been a deal that was going to be done. Probably, has my face gone off screen again? That was a deal that was going to be done even maybe before the Euros. I haven't seen anything in Conor Gallagher that makes me think he's a player we want. I can't tell you that Jacob Ramsey, and this is what worries me a bit about him, I can't remember seeing him play where I've said, that's a player that we would really like. That's a player that would really improve us. And as I say, I don't think the midfield, when you look at what we've got, Basuma, Gray, Bentancur, Sarr, Maddison, maybe Donnelly, Devine, potentially more as well. I don't think, and I may have left out one or two, Skip, I don't think that's an area where we need desperately to improve. I think, if we could get a really good creative defence, as I say, if we could get Eadsy in, I think that would be the kind of talent we would look for. I just don't see what Jacob Ramsey adds that we haven't got already.
I'll go to you, Dave, real quick. Actually, no, I'll go to you. Let me go to you. Let me mix it up. Do you think that Ange is looking at our midfield and he's like, we're lacking goals, and that's the reason why he's looking for another midfielder? Because I can't make sense of why we keep getting linked to more midfielders, because he says one attacking player, from what I understand, one midfielder, and I think a centre-back, left-sided, and a fullback. So that's like 4 players, possibly a backup goalkeeper. What's your thoughts on this whole Ramsey situation? Yeah, you still there? All right, Dave. What are you saying?
Yeah. Firstly, I just want to give thanks to the Most High that we're not signing Conor Gallagher, because I would have probably rioted. Because there was nothing within me that wanted to see Conor Gallagher at Spurs. Don't rate him, never have rated him. Like Ian said, you watch him play and you don't think, what's he going to do? What's he going to add to the team? Where does he fit in? I didn't understand it, didn't understand the links. And if we were going to spend
50 million.
50 million.
That's right, 50 million, guys.
50 million on Conor Gallagher, then there's another player in London who had a release clause, and if we pay 50 million up front, we'll be able to get him, and he plays in a midfield role as well. His name is Eberechi Eze. We might as well do that. Anyway, Jacob Ramsey. I don't necessarily understand it. If it means Lo Celso's out of the club, then I don't mind. But I think it is a situation of having a more of a box-to-box goal presence, because Sarr isn't that out and out. And I think we're seeing Sarr shift, especially like you said, with this 3-2-5 approach. I think Sarr's going to be using that too. I don't think it'll necessarily be the fullbacks. One of the fullbacks will be one of the 5, I think. And I think the defensive shield, those 2, one of them will be a midfielder, just for the athleticism.
Well, wouldn't you say like Archie Gray is that then? Archie Gray playing it like
Archie Gray can fit.
because I think tactically, flexibly, he's played as a right fullback. So you know when you say, I'm not comparing him to Tony Cruz by any stretch of the imagination, but in Germany World Cup, you saw what he did. He joined the back two on the right hand side and sometimes the left hand side, and he played as a deep line playmaker. And he was, as you said, used his passing range. Archie Gray's got that, and he was trying to help dictate play from a bit deeper. And then it also added a bit of defensive cover. So the reason why I said that is because Archie Gray has played right back. So I thought maybe you could see Archie Gray latching onto that free at times. And then
you're right.
When sometimes you see Basuma, you might see Basuma. I think he's a little bit better in a double pivot. So maybe he's in a two with like maybe the Sada. So you could be right. But I think when I watched him at Brighton, he was on the right side of the double pivot. So he was slightly higher up. So he was the one that moved more like an 8, if that makes sense, out of the two, the double pivot. So he wasn't the deepest one. He was the one that could help out. And then that, just to finish off, if you remember Wanyama and Dembele, I'm not comparing double pivots to them. But I'm just saying with Wanyama and Dembele, Wanyama was more the 6, and Dembele was more the one that would travel with it, but he was still defensive with it and still won tackles and broke up play. I'm just thinking, is Basuma the Dembele, or was he meant to be the Musa Dembele replacement in that double pivot, in that kind of sense, if you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I just think you're going to have a lineup of either Gray or Basuma as a 6. And in that 3-2-5 role, the 6 is going to drop into the centre-back. So Basuma or Gray would be in that centre-back role. And I think the 2 will be a fullback and a midfielder. I don't know. But anyway, we'll see. However it pans out, I think having a Ramsey in there just gives you more of a goal threat if we are linked with him. I don't necessarily feel like we need him, and I'd rather spend the money elsewhere. Like Ian said, I think it's a bit of a waste of money per se. But listen, again, for me, I think it's better than Lo Celso. I was growing tired of seeing Lo Celso pop up with his, I mean, he scored some good goals for us last season, but I just got tired of hoping for some sort of consistency from Lo Celso.
I think he's done. I think he was done. But yeah, are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Before I bring you in, I want to big up to Eugene, that's just become a member. Thanks for joining us. We are going to do some exclusive content and watch. I want to do some type of watch-alongs, but we're going to do something slightly different to what everyone else does for watch-alongs. A bit more video analysis on that. That's my plans for our members. So, guys, if you want to become a member and you want to see a different type of breakdown on Spurs, please do become a member. We're trying to get our memberships rolling now. But yeah, just coming into you, what is your thoughts on the whole Ramsey situation? And I could even bring in Bentancur. Do you think Bentancur might move away? There's been a lot of negative talk about him lately. Do you see him having a lot of impact? Is it a make or break season for him? What are your thoughts on this whole Ramsey situation, man?
Well, I think Ramsey's been brought in more to do with the homegrown quota as opposed to shifting him out because we really want him. I'm not saying that he can't provide something to the team. He most certainly can. And Lo Celso's injury record for whatever it is at our club is absolutely horrendous. So that's why I think Ramsey's been brought in for the money that's being said. I think it's
injury prone though. Isn't Ramsey injury prone or no? Is that
no? Well, he's had a few injuries, but nowhere near like. I think I said this in the NSO chat. I don't think Lo Celso's completed 30 games for Spurs. Like he's been here for almost 4 seasons. Like I couldn't tell you how many he might have completed over the 4 seasons if we're talking like including substitution appearances, maybe 77 games in 4 seasons. That's disgusting.
That's crazy.
Like considering the fact that we spent like 50 million on him all in. So spending 30 million plus Lo Celso for Ramsey, it does sound like a lot on the table, to be honest with you. But we're not. I think fans have to be brutally honest with themselves. We're not even getting 20 million for Lo Celso. Nobody in world football is paying that, regardless of whether they rate him or not.
Do you honestly think like it's a thing where it's because everyone's talking about Eze? Do you think if like we were to get Ramsey for Lo Celso, Eze's off the cards completely? Or do
No,
you think there's a
no,
world
but
where we could get both Ramsey and Eze,
so
for example?
I
I'm just saying if
I
we were
have this. No, I definitely feel we can get both because right now, as it stands, if I could be slightly wrong, maybe on the figures, but if I'm correct, we have spent roughly 25 to 30 million so far. If I don't know what was spent on uh the young guy from Korea, but I know we spent roughly about 30 million on Gray because of the 10 million taken off from the 40 million transfer due to Rodon going the opposite direction. And we've probably raised about, give or take, maybe 50 million, in terms of transfer fees for the players that we've got off the wage bill or sold. So that 30 million is money that apparently we had a budget of just slightly underneath 100 million. If you include from just sales alone,
right, yeah,
you
that's
could easily go and get, yeah, you could easily go and get Eze and Ramsey and still have some sort of money to play about if you want to go slightly over budget.
mm,
In terms of what I think we should be doing, which I've made very clear to everyone, is that I honestly will lose my bloody mind if we don't sign a striker this summer.
yeah.
I don't give a flying crap for what Richarlison has said in the press. I don't give a damn what tattoos he's decided to get on his back. I couldn't care less where he decides he wants to go, so long as he takes himself and the pigeons that have followed him out of my club because I've had enough. I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear anybody tell me if Richarlison stays fit, he can give us. I don't want to hear it. Get him gone. He is a fraud. Another person that's under surveillance is Johnson, but that's another day, another story. We
Mhm.
need a striker. I personally would go in for Tony because I think everyone is against him right now. And he has a point to prove, and that's the kind of player you kind of really need in a club. When somebody has a point to prove, it's always beautiful to see what they can deliver. But to come back to your question on Bentancur,
Mhm.
he's come off a very, very bad injury. Very, very bad injury. Last season,
Are you a fan of Bentancur?
I am a fan of Bentancur. I think before he got injured, I thought he was quality. Honestly, like he was probably one of my favorite players in the team.
Loads of people say we should drop him out. Was it
You
too
know what?
risky?
I think it's too early because even last season when he came back, he just come back from a massive layoff,
Mm.
and then that first game he came back was against Aston Villa, and Matty Cash decided, yeah, I'm gonna injure you again because I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So like, I think this season is a make or break for him, but he needs to, get back into the rhythm of things and start
Mm.
playing regularly. Because if our team can get even half of the Benton core we had before he got injured in this rotation of like midfielders that we have, man, then like we're onto something.
Before I go on to my next point, I'm just going to bring anyone else want to speak on Bentancur before I quickly move on. No, cool.
Other than I can't make my mind up. I simply can't make my mind up on Bentancur.
It's
There's
a funny.
times I think we've got a real worldie there, and other times, and I think therein lies the problem. And there's other times I think, do you know what? If someone came in with a decent offer for him, we should get him gone and improve him. And that's one of the places where maybe the kids can come through. And that's all I want to say is I don't know.
Because this is it.
Um,
Then you've got Donnelly there, like you said, Divine. If Bentancur's there, them man ain't getting a chance. They're not getting in. I'm telling you.
yeah,
So
but
it's one of those ones. Do you sacrifice a Bentancur that everyone used to love and everyone was like, oh, he's a dope midfielder, but then last season's inconsistent. He's got the ACL. He's not the same type of player.
yeah,
He's got a bit of an attitude at the moment. Everyone's like, oh, what's he doing? Kicking up the Tottenham Hotspur stadium chairs. He's just making
yeah.
holes in them, and then he's throwing boots and bottles in people's headpiece, cutting them
But
up. I don't know.
but Ash, you need experienced players. Yeah, I mean,
You do.
that famous Alan Hansen quote, maybe before some of you were
No,
watching,
no, we were
talking
around. We were around.
about you
We
win
were
nothing with
We were
kids.
there. We were there.
definitely there, man. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I got the greys. I got the greys.
Yeah.
I got the greys
You
here.
can't see the greys in there, but don't worry.
I can't bend down enough. I,
Pause, pause, pause.
I
Yeah, yeah,
haven't got
yeah.
any hair to go grey anymore. So, yeah, but yeah, and the only reason fancy coming on to say, yeah, I want to say something is I don't know, and I think therein lies the problem though with Bentancur. I don't know what Dave thinks because Dave's obviously a shrewd judge of a player.
He's got one more season for me.
Yeah, 100%. This is a make or break, man.
Make or break. To be honest, I think with just you mentioned about does that block so and so? Does it block? Some of these kids won't be here past January. They'll go out on loan, even if they don't go immediately. They'll be around the first team until January. Then they'll go out to Preston, North End, or they'll go out to Stock, Blackburn or whoever. Porto. There'll be teams snapping them up in January. We'll see that happen. So once we get into the season, I think we'll see a more settled thing because we've at the moment with all these kids knocking around the first team, we've got a bit of a bloated squad. But Bentancur, for me, you keep him around the experience. I watched him in the Copa America. He played brilliant, almost back to the levels that we're used to seeing for him. And yes, obviously he got into a little bit of trouble and stuff. But I think he'll be crucial if he can play at that level.
It's a big gift.
I think with him is whether he needs to feel that value and that motivation to do that, and we need to be trending in the right direction. And enough players need to be pushing that right direction. So let's see.
I'm going to talk about a player I'm looking at. If I'm thinking, Lange, look, if you're going to go for a player, and I know he came from Aston Villa, Jacob Ramsey, talking about the chef. I think MPW, and lots of people be like, no, he's average. I don't like him. I said that from last season. I did a video on him last season. And I said, if we don't get Maddison, I think Morgan Gibbs-White is an option that we should be considering seriously. And guys, if you guys agree with me, please do like and share this video, especially, and make sure you tag his brother from another mother, Brennan Johnson, Baby Boy Johnson, Babyface Johnson, BBJ, whatever you want to call him. Yeah. Morgan Gibbs-White. I think we got the wrong lighty personally, but me, I'm for Brennan Johnson. I like the player, I like the profile. He played for England under 23s and the 21, and I thought he was way better than Conor Gallagher at the time. I watched that tournament where England won, and I thought he was one of the top players, one of the main cornerstones in the player. People in the comments, let me know what you think. I'm going to try to dissect it a bit. I'm not able to get the Premiership footage because I don't want to get copyrighted. So I've gone down to a lower league level. But I think since I've done this, I think he's improved. Went from Wolves when he was at Wolves, and then he's at Nottingham Forest. I think he's improved since then. But I'm going to play footage when he was at Sheffield United. He can play as an attacking mid, a right winger, but also can play as a centre mid in a deeper lying playmaking role. I've seen him do that. I've watched him like many times live. Ever since I did the analysis on him a year ago, I've watched him a little bit closer. He's had some good games, some games not so good, but majority of games I've been impressed with him. Jamaican heritage as well, and contract runs out in 2027. As I said before, he played at Wolves, was on loan, went to Sheffield for a spell, went back to Wolves, and then ended up in a transfer to Nottingham Forest for 29.5 million euros, and previously played in Swansea. But he's got many years behind him, even before the Swansea move. He was at Wolves before that. Plays in a 4-2-3-1 under Nuno, so slightly less expansive and slightly less attacking than what we play. But as you can see, his heat map, he's everywhere. Like his heat map, he's been given that responsibility to free roam. And the reason why I look at this as well is because when I looked at Bergvall, Bergvall is a player that kind of, you don't see him in one position. He kind of goes out wide at times. You see him in the 6th row. You see him in the midfield. You see him getting into the box. And I think that's what Ange wants from his midfielders: versatility, flexibility, and he wants players to be able to fill in at any position because it's positional play that we're trying to do at the moment. And I think with Morgan Gibbs-White, he does that. He fits that role perfectly, as you can see in the heat map. Here he is against other midfielders. Most of it's in the green. I'm not going to bore you with it, but standouts are touches in the penalty areas, which we need for a box-to-box midfielder. So you could either fill in for, if we wanted to go attacking and said Sar's not attacking enough, and we wanted to play a 4-3-3, then he would fill in. Equally with Maddison on the left, he could fill in for Maddison if Maddison's not fit the whole season. I was watching an interview with someone on TalkSport and they were debating, oh, we think Morgan Gibbs-White is better than Maddison. The whole comments here would disagree fundamentally. No, Maddison's way better, etc., etc. I think there's a debate to be had. But some top 5 club will snap him up, or a top 6 club, I reckon a Newcastle will take him, and it will be too late. So that's the reason why I'm saying tag everyone, share the video, please. Get it out to Levy, get it out to Lange. I want to hear everyone's thoughts. G and A, 15, similar to Brennan Johnson, but obviously playing in a different position. So more than Maddison, I've got Ramsey in there and Sudakov. I've looked at him as well, playing in another league. Benea, I like the look of him. Havertz, obviously there, but he's third in that list. I looked a little bit deeper in terms of his actual shots. He's second just to Benea, more shots than Havertz and Maddison and Ramsey. Ramsey, I'm looking at Ramsey's better season, not last season. So he's got a few more games there. This is the season that Ramsey actually performed well in. And you can see Morgan Gibbs-White is outperforming him in those shots in that area. Key passes as well. Again, outperforming Maddison, Havertz, Ramsey. Of course, he's been more available. So maybe that's why his numbers look a little bit higher. But again, you want your players to be available, and he's doing that. Key passes are really good. So that means he's got good vision and good awareness. Shot creations, actions per 90. Again, not bad. Maddison strikes a little bit higher up there. So that's where I'm being fair. But here he is again, getting on the end of things, finishing box to box. Look at that through ball, the outside of the boot, cheeky into the path. He should be doing better. That player there should be finishing his dinner. Gets the ball, little through ball here. My man hits it, goes across the keeper, does well. First time pass, first touch. The player should be doing better. But it was a nice chip little pass that he did in there. On the wide, look at that flick. Reminds me of Son when he scored that goal. I can't remember who it was against. Maybe it was against Wolves. Cheeky little flick there. And he finishes it first time. Great ball over the top into a dangerous area. Here he is for England. Just a poacher, getting on the end of things, scoring a goal. Cross into the box. Bang, hits it on the volley. It's in the back of the net. Gets onto the little flick on and then assists the goal there. Gets a little cut back and finishes it far post. First time. Picks the ball up. Through ball. Hits the crossbar. Cuts onto his left foot, a weaker foot. Good shot. Here he is in attacking position. Squares it. First time finish right there. Comes across the body. Bang. Bottom corner. Getting into the box. Bang. Arrows it into the top corner. Great finish. Top corner again. Outside the box. Look. Chops it there onto his foot. Onto his right foot. Top bins. See you later. Getting onto the end of things. Running around the keeper. Good composure as well in front of goal. So he's showing that poacher ability to get into the final third. To get into the box. Add goals. Add something slightly different to maybe what Asar is. And that's why I was comparing it in a 4-3-3. If we do go to that formation, does he add something different to Sar? Does he add something a little bit different to Ramsey? I think so. Here he is finishing, getting the end of things. Look, opens his body up, opens his hips up, doesn't need to take a touch, hits it first time, bottom corner. That is where someone is a natural finisher and they're thinking, oh, I don't need to take a touch here, I can finish. Some players like Kulusevski or etc., they might want to take a touch and they might want to get on their favorite foot. He doesn't. He just hits it first time and shapes his body up. Crosses it in, bang, top corner. Through ball, dinked finish, brilliant. First touch here, boom. Like what different finishes as well. He's getting across. But here's some of his dribbling metrics. As you can see here, in terms of dribbling, he attempts a lot. 44 successful. So he's not a bad dribbler as well in that metric. Carries as well. He's a good carrier of the ball. Second to Maddison. So again, it'll be good competition to Maddison. And wouldn't be a drop-off if Maddison fell off or got injured. Then here he is against Jacob Ramsey, progressive carries. You see Jacob Ramsey is beating him on that metric. Successful take-ons, we've gone through that already. He's top of that in successful take-ons. First touch. I always look at this stat. Progressive received first touch. He's up there with second, just behind Havertz in that area. Remember, he's playing for Nuno in a slightly more defensive 4-2-3-1, and he's doing bits. These numbers are getting up. But here's some of his link up. You see a little cut back, little touch through the guy's legs. Here it is. First time, treads on the ball and on a half turn. And again, on a half turn, beats him. Good control, good touch. First touch, link play into the player's feet. 1-2, 1-2. Again, little back heel here, finding his player, little in the half space, linking up with the player. First touch over him, and then through into the channel, ready for the winger. And you can just imagine, remember when he used to play with Brennan Johnson, there was a goal he scored against Leicester, which was the telepathy. He brought out the best in Brennan Johnson, in my opinion. But again, we move. Look, first time touch. You can see he wants to spin off. Sees the pitch early, gets the ball first time, puts it through his legs, heads up, gets a touch, gets out of trouble, puts it through his legs into the box. Again, first touch back heel. He's not doing too many touches, and that's one thing I see sometimes. Maddison gets on the ball, too many touches. I saw it happen with Bergvall as well. You need to learn sometimes when to mix it up because you don't want to become too predictable. We've seen it with Basuma against Man City when he had too many touches, he lost the ball. We saw it on the edge of the box with Maddison against Arsenal when he lost the ball. He lost the ball on the edge and almost cost the goal with Jesus finishing. We saw it with Bentancur at the edge of the box, trying to dribble out. Sometimes you need to mix it up and know when to dribble and know when to pass. I think that's what he's got in abundance. He knows when to do it, can keep possession, carry the ball up the pitch, does a little steppy, keeps on hold of it. First time, bang, and he's away and he's into space, attacks it. That's good spatial awareness, good link up with the meat. Look, and he looks like the jelly of the team as well in those attacking thirds. Look at the little 1-2s, and he's able to just put it through. First time, again, gets the player down the byline, beats him. Again, through the legs, does that little tech up first time. Look, quick feet, gets it out of his feet, turns on the half turn again, and then gets it out of his feet. Doesn't do too many touches. Good first touch, turns, gets the ball out. Look at that trickery there. Good fast feet, little pirouette, back heel into the player. Good control. Good spell over the ball, over the top, controls it. First time, lets it run around his body and beats the ball down the wing. First touch, beats his man. I love that. Good feet here. Steps it over, links up the play. Again, first touch. Look at that. Every time I'm showing it, first touch into the play. And we haven't really got many. The only player I see who does that is probably like a Kulusevski. That's the only man I see. But I'm just seeing my man do it on a lot more occasions, link the play, first time touch, getting the ball out of his feet. And I've already showed the goal threat that he did, which is a little bit different to Kulusevski, but it's got physicality. He's got, look at that little drag back, little back heel flick, crazy. Pirouette, first time touch, it's an awkward touch, but he's able to get it under control, awkward ball to control. Here's his long passing. So long passing beats everyone. So we need something a little bit different to what I think a lot of our players have. You mentioned Archie Gray with his long passing, but this guy here in the Premiership has demonstrated his long passing is at the levels where we need it to be. So sometimes when you need to break the lines, when you need to open up the pitch, when you need to create quick counterattacks, he's that player that can actually start them with those long passes. Progressive passing, just second to Maddison. Do you know what I mean? In that system. Again, ball over the top. Here it is. Nice flight of the ball as well. Nice through ball into a diagonal ball. Look at that. First time over the top. Hitting diagonals. Diagonal again. Look at the curve on that ball as well. Little faded pass there. Little dink pass there. Again, first time pass through ball with weight as well. Great weight. Chops the ball with the outside of his boot. First time pass. Boom. Diagonal into the channel. Balls over the top. Guys, I don't need to say any more. Crosses again. Leading. And these stats are from this season, by the way. I'm just letting you know. These stats are from this season. Even though I'm showing the footage of old, because I don't want to get copyrighted, I'm showing you footage of old. And this is some of his stats in those areas. Crossing, he's good. He can play in the wide areas. He can look at that, find his man. He should be finishing that chance there. Again, finds his man there. Good crosses into the box. And again, better opposition, puts that in the box. Imagine Richarlison's still here, or we get a Tony, someone that's able to put in the box other than Porro on that right-hand side, that's able to deliver quality balls into the box. I'm not going to say no more, man. That's it. I'm not going to play the whole clip. It's talking too much right now. But that's just my opinion. I would go for rather than a Ramsey, I would rather go for a Morgan Gibbs-White. There's another guy I'm looking at. I call him Min-hyuk. I've got footage of him, but I won't play him this week. I'll probably play it next week because, you know, why not save some of the video footage? But guys, what do you think of Morgan Gibbs-White as an alternative? Is that someone you like? Do you think he's average? What are your thoughts, man? Anyone can jump in at this point.
I don't think he's average at all. I think he's quite quality, and I do agree with everyone that we definitely should have signed him over Johnson because Johnson makes tap-ins look difficult. But I don't see us spending that kind of money to get Morgan this summer. I don't see anyone, if I'm being brutally honest, anyone outside of Chelsea spending that kind of money to get him. He's quality, but what Forest will be demanding for him, I don't see anyone willing to take that jump. And it's not that he can't make the step up in my eyes. I'm like, at Forest, and this tends to happen with a lot of players playing for teams that are lower down in the division. At Forest, he's probably the main man or one of their better players. So he's going to get loads of touches, like loads of minutes, loads of like time on the ball. They're basically trying to find him so that he can facilitate and move play along. When you step up to these bigger teams, you got to do that with less time on the ball and less touches. It's kind of similar to, you know, I know Dave will understand this very well, but in basketball, you know, you can have, you know, 3 top players in your team, but one of those top players or 2 of those top players are going to have limited time on the ball. There's going to be one player that is going to be, you know, the main guy to go to. And if he was to come to our team, like, he's not an 8, so he's more either going to get shifted to the wings or he's going to be chopping and changing with Maddison, which is fine for squad depth, but not what I mean, we do need squad depth, but we also need like starters in certain positions that are going to like legitimately steal another man's chain. And I'm not going to be honest with you, I don't really. He's good, but I don't see him stealing Maddison's chain. So I wouldn't go out and spend like 50 million on him because that's what they would charge.
Like, I just caveat quick because you said like he's not going to get as many touches. The clips I was showing there, the first touch, the link play, I thought that was what's the difference between him and maybe like a Maddison. I'm not saying he's better than Maddison, but I think if we're trying to go for more of a goal threat and someone, and I'm looking at it like Maddison. Ange wants more goals from his midfield, and I'm thinking, Sarr, maybe he doesn't provide that. And if we are playing a 4-3-3 and he wants Sarr to be a box threat, then I think Morgan Gibbs-White is a better player because we were seriously looking at Conor Gallagher, and people were saying Conor Gallagher is a 10, he's a box-to-box, you're not profiling him right, energy, blah, blah, blah. And so you can make the same argument with a Conor Gallagher than you would with a Morgan Gibbs-White. I know Conor Gallagher played at Chelsea, theoretically is a bigger club, and maybe that's the reason why you're saying Morgan Gibbs-White wouldn't play well because the step up might be too much. But you could say the same.
No, Gallagher's garbage, by the way. Like, the fact that we were linked to him is more of a reason why, you know, Levy needs to be arrested. But yeah, no, we can't compare Morgan to
right.
Conor.
Let's go to Maddison. Maddison was playing at Leicester. He was the star boy at Leicester. And obviously he had to make the step up. And I felt he did the step up okay. So I'm thinking, why can I not apply the same logic with Morgan Gibbs-White? So
I don't think there's a big, and this is definitely showing my age.
Go on.
Leicester City are, for the most part, a quintessential Premier League team. You know, like, yeah, they've gone down, similar to Leeds. They've gone down. They've been down for a number of years.
A big Premier League team, no?
So Forest used to be a quintessential Premier League team, but Forest have been down for far longer than Leicester City and even the Leeds of these worlds. And in terms of like the step up, the season that Leicester City went down, nobody really expected them to be in the bottom 3. It was just a horrible season for them. And that's why they've been able to bounce back up. In terms of like what the time that Maddison had been there, Leicester were up there. Leicester were at least top 8 guaranteed every single season, apart from obviously the one season that they got relegated. So the step up for Maddison wasn't humongous. We're talking about a man coming from Nottingham Forest, not saying he can't do it, but we're talking about a man coming from Nottingham Forest who have been, for the last 2 seasons, fighting for their lives in that bottom half. And we're telling him, yeah, he's going to come and compete with the other midfielders in our team that's been competing for top 6. So it's a big jump up. I'm not saying he can't make the jump. I'm saying for the money being spent, I'd rather spend it on an actual guaranteed winger or guaranteed striker, somebody that's going to attack. We've got enough midfielders for that. Like I literally trust more of the youngsters to kind of shoehorn them into the team and challenge the starters than go and spend 50 million on a guy that I couldn't tell you what position he's going to actually be stealing a man's chain. And if he's coming in to play right wing, which is not actually his position, because that would be a position we would shoehorn him into, it's not worth it.
Ian, I know you have to go soon, so I'm going to bring you in. What are your thoughts on this? Because the way I was looking at it is if we were going to spend money, because it looks like Ange wants to do this whole Lo Celso / Ramsey deal. That's the reason why I brought MGW up. I said, rather than get a Ramsey, I would rather get an MGW. I don't know what role necessarily he would want him to play, but what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I don't see that as being the priority, as I've said earlier in the show. So I've got some feedback coming from someone. Unless we're letting, like a Benton Core or someone else go, the player I want in that sort of the 2 attacking players in the 3, if that's the style we're playing, is Edsy. I just think Edsy's light years ahead of Gibbs White. Although I think Gibbs White is a good player. Does he improve us to the extent that we need improving? Is he a player that takes you from 5th in the league to 2nd or 1st? I don't think he is. A good player. No argument that he's a good player. A very good player. And maybe he's better than Jacob Ramsey, although I'm not over enamoured with him either. If you're looking for a player that's going to take you to the top level, in my view, it's not Ramsey and it's not Gibbs White, but I think Edsy is that player.
Fair enough. Dave, what are your thoughts on the situation?
See, me and Ian, we go way back. we met tonight, but we go way back. And we see the game exactly the same way. I've said this to you, Ash, before. Like, if I'm signing a player now as Spurs, I'm signing a Champions League level player. That's what I want. I want a player who, if we qualify for the Champions League next year, and we get in, and then we've got to play Champions League in 18 months' time, and we're going away to Villarreal or away to, let's pick another tricky, like Inter Milan or something. I'm putting that player in the team, and I have no qualms that they'll be able to run the game. I don't necessarily feel that about Morgan Gibbs White. He's a great player, he's great talent, but I don't necessarily feel that about him. I feel like he's a good, solid. He'll be a top level Prem player in some ways when he reaches his kind of final form. Whereas if I'm going to spend money in that position in that part of the team, it would be on an Eze, because I feel like an Eze is that type of player and will be that type of player as he continues to grow and evolve his game. I feel like that's the player that you build your midfield around. That's the player you build your attacking impetus around, especially if we are using this alternative formation with that player, and with that extra 10. Just seeing here who do I midfield do currently. I think Maddison on his day is that player, but he's not enough because we can't rely on him consistently throughout the whole season. He does drop off throughout the season. We've seen that with Leicester. That was part of the issue with Leicester. So you need to get another player in there who can do that. So if you go get an Eze, you've got Eze and Maddison in your midfield, you then go, right, boom. Whether it's one or both of them, over the next 2 to 3 years, you've got a double-pronged attack with a Bergvall coming behind them as an emerging talent in world football, where you say, great.
All right.
the pressure is not on you, Lucas Bergvall, to be that player. Even though I reckon Bergvall will be able to do a lot of the stuff that we just saw Morgan Gibbs-White just doing in those clips. Bergvall will be doing that in 2 to 3 years' time.
What do you think, guys? What do you? I know you need to go. But just before you go, what do you think about the midfield if Kulu does play as another midfielder? Because then you've got a situation where you've got Kulu, and you've got Bergvall, and you've got Madison, and you've got Eze. So who's the one? Like, supposing we've got Madison as one of the 8s, and then, as we said, we've got Archie Gray as the 6. What happens next? Is it
whoever? Listen, this is what top teams do. They have talent on your bench. Who cares? You have a
That's
top
why I'm asking who starts. Is it a Madison that starts, or is it Eze that starts?
I do not.
As the left-sided 8?
You play. It depends on who the team is. It depends who's in form. Depends who's impressed me in training.
Who's had injuries?
Who didn't have a dodgy lasagna the night before. I don't know.
Hang on. I mean, I'm sure I'm with Dave again on this. You want to challenge in the Europa League. You want to challenge in the League Cup rather than going out in the first round on penalties. You want to challenge in the FA Cup, and you want to be making a serious league challenge. You need more than 2 players in every position. You've got to have players. And the one thing that we've always complained about is when some of the young kids or the reserves come in, they're nowhere near as good as the original first team players, and we end up falling short. Now we appear to be putting together a squad with some experience and also some youth, and hopefully another couple coming in, where players will come in and you will not notice the difference. You won't notice the difference because the players will be of a quality to get you through, some of the games, rather than going out of the cup at Fulham or that place we got beat 3-0 at. When we in the, do you remember that game under Mourinho with the Europa League? I mean, I kind of where that kind of absolute crap doesn't happen anymore. So I don't think it's a matter of...
And Ash, I hear your question. But this is actually part of the problem with Spurs fans. All we've ever focused on is our first 11, or who plays in. Actually, it's about 16 players. It's about having 18 players.
Yeah,
that's how you win trophies. It's about having 18
I agree,
players. And I'm like, okay, cool. If we've got to go to, Chelsea away in the quarterfinal, and Madders is not fit to play, or Madders is out of form, and we've got to drop him, and Bergvall's got to start left 8, and Eze's got to start in front of him, or Bergvall's got to start left 8, and Kulu's got to start in that 10 role, and Son and Tony up top, whoever it is, like, let's just collect the Infinity Stones and let the chef cook. But go get me some players.
But there is a possibility we don't get Eze. How will you guys feel if we only make one signing between now and the start of the season, and we only get 2 signings? Because at the moment you're hearing ITKs say one thing, you're hearing the main journalists like Romano saying actually Spurs are only going for one player in the attacking third, so that could just be a striker. And then the other thing is one player could be a talented player. That's what I heard. That's what I'm reading. Sorry to misquote, but how will you feel? And I'll end on this note as well.
If it depends who it is. If it's Ivan Toney, I don't mind. No, actually, no. It's not. I don't mind. It's, okay, cool. Like, we need more, but get me a striker, because what I need is goals. What I need is when goals and link up, and with the new formation that we're playing, it suits Ivan Toney to a T. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I agree with Dave. I ain't got no time for, bruv. Listen, I don't know how Spurs fans have managed to trick themselves over the years to tell themselves that Højbjerg was a good enough player for anybody because he just ran around and shouted out, stuff for Valhalla. I've got no time for it. He was garbage, and I don't care where he's gone to as a player. He is still garbage. Richarlison is also garbage. Like, you just have to call a spade a spade. Richarlison, we spent £60 million on this guy. Even if you convert that into old school money, call it £30 million. The guy is absolute wipe. He has the audacity to wear the number 9 shirt. He has the gall to even pick up the moniker of being called R9. I haven't seen a striker make me this mad since Helder Postiga. Like, he is absolute garbage. Yeah. So I don't want to hear nobody tell me, oh yeah, we can go into next season Richarlison if he stays fit. No, I don't like his nickname. I mean, nobody eats pigeons. Nobody likes pigeons. So why would you nickname yourself the pigeon? It doesn't make sense. Like he's giving himself a stupid nickname because he's a stupid player. And then Johnson, on top of that, I've never in my life seen a winger or a forward make a tap-in look so bad. Why does every single tap-in hit the roof of the net? Where's your finesse? Where's your je ne sais quoi? Where's the little bit of, I got something to go and get me that betting psycho Ivan Toney this instance. At least that's a man that knows he's on absolute crud, because that's what we need in this club right now. We need a man that is an absolute psycho. You mean to tell me in the crunch time, you go to take a penalty, you decide to do a no-lipping penalty in a quarter-final? Yeah, you're insane. Bring him to my club immediately. Not the guy that's flipping, sitting on the bench and just looking around. Go, brr, brr. I ain't got time for it. I've got no time for it.
I think, guys, the seagulls are following the trawler.
Definitely up.
That's mad. Me personally, I'm gonna lie to you. I will be underwhelmed if we only get 2 signings done, and I'd have to call out the so-called ITK Paul O'Keefe, because he's the man that was selling free. We're getting free, even though you shouldn't listen to what ITK said. Of course not. Don't be so foolish. Don't be an idiot. Like, come on, you know what time it is. But me personally, I would want a forward, a winger as well, and a fullback. Minimum. That's my minimum. Obviously, I want more, but I'm thinking if your doggy gets injured, it's going to be a long day for us, because I can't have.
I had this feeling somebody was going to mention.
Or Benjamin.
A doggy getting injured, possibly. And I just need to let it be known. And I need everyone to understand this. There's 2 things that's likely to happen. The first thing, I don't mind. The second one, I definitely do mind. The first thing is Mickey goes out left, Radu comes in. That's fine. That makes sense to me. But the second thing, I've seen it one too many times, and I'm telling you, this is going to happen. Skipper's going to go left back. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it, really. Like, listen, I'm going to just start fights in the stadium. Honestly, like, I might even get my child to just headbutt me, because I'm not going to take it. I'm just not going to take it. Like, this is, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I'm at the point, I'm at the threshold with Spurs, and this ain't against Ange. This is more how the club is being run under Enoch and Levy. I'm at the point here where I'm like, you guys need to stop messing with my feelings, because you're too close to home. Yeah, like I will come up to the stadium at midnight and just wait for everyone to come out, because you've taken it too far now. Like we spent, it's a cost of living crisis. People are spending 1,200 plus on season tickets, and you mean to tell me we got to sit there and watch Skip play a left back? Richarlison going. Do you know how long it took us to get rid of Dyer? Dyer still to this day hasn't found the culprit that punched up his brother. Yeah, and it took us 4 seasons to still get rid of this guy. This is ridiculous. Change it now.
Hey, Ian, how do you feel? Like, would you feel underwhelmed if we only got one attacking player in, or? And joking aside, I really thought that Richarlison to Saudi was practically a done deal.
his contribution is negligible. He hasn't played a minute in pre-season. And I think therefore we need Richarlison out and two decent strikers in, one of which I think we're all agreed. Everybody wants Tony. People have talked about Solanke. I don't think he offers enough, but that's my own view. But I think we'd need to get another striker from somewhere, probably another right-sided attacker. I'm not sure at the moment that Johnson is going to get enough goals.
Sorry,
I
Ian.
don't know if
Sorry
Adrian.
to cut you real quick. Do you think we start the season with Kulu up top?
No.
Jesus.
No.
If Richarlison's not fit, I'm saying if Richarlison's not fit, do you think Kulu starts in the false nine?
Well, then I mean, I'm not the board's biggest critic compared to some, but I think if and they've got a football department now, if that's the resource that we're left with after a whole summer of transfer window, then I think that would be appalling. I don't actually see Decky as a centre forward. I do see him as potentially as an attacking midfield player, playing central, maybe alongside another centre forward, playing in that sort of that 10 role behind a main target man. I think he could play there. But no, I don't see him. I don't see that as being the way forward for the club. Decky's the Marmite player. I don't rate him on the right wing. I think he's too one-dimensional. Controls the ball, comes inside, passes the ball back, can't go either way. Does some brilliant things when he does get some space and cuts inside and hits that left foot shot. Brilliant, but just doesn't do enough. I don't know what that's he's not you see, look, he's not in the right, that's the point. He's not in the right wing position there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the one player we haven't talked about, and this is a thing I've had a bee in my bonnet for, and I did say I had to go, but I've had a bee in my bonnet about, is Jed Spence. Now, it looks an awful lot like Spence is starting to impress some people, and maybe someone's got into his head that if he wants to be a professional footballer, he's never going to get a better gig than the one he's got at Tottenham Hotspur. But I mean, I'll put this back. I've thought for a while that Porro would make a far better right-sided forward than he does a right back. And I think if Spence were to make it as the inverted right back, that would give Porro so much more freedom to attack, because I think he's a superb. He can go both ways. He's got a shot on him. And he will do the running to come back. So that's just a thought.
Yeah, David. Any of you want to handle that one with the whole Jed Spence?
I'm not sure about Porro as a right winger.
I mean, remember you said that's your brother.
What, Porro?
No, Ian, you said that's your brother from another.
Listen,
we can disagree.
Brothers fight every so often, But no, Spence, like Ian said, Spence has got a good gig now. Chicken Royale has left the building, or he's leaving the building. He's flying out to Italy in the next few days, hopefully, with his Instagram posts and, so annoying. So annoying. The whole King is back and all that rubbish that he used to post left, right, and centre. Spence, I think it has all the attributes just that suits and his style of play. He's got the athleticism, he's got the pace, he's got the ball carrying ability, and it was always about the mental. But actually, even the loans recently, they all said that he did all right. He just had to put it all together, and it looks like he has done. He's definitely got a few better relationships with people at the club. I think also I don't know what he walked into a couple of years ago, but I think also lowering the age of the dressing room has kind of helped. I think he's just walked back in and gone. I think he feels a little bit more at home around some of the players. I think that's helped him. So let's see how it pans out. I think it'll just be a competition between him and Porro for right back. I think if we ever push Porro up, further up, we'll never see him again because he doesn't like defending as it is. So if you push him further up the pitch, we will never, ever, ever, ever see him defend ever again. That back post will be just negligible. Like, yeah.
But
So
Yeah.
are we saying?
I'm against.
Go on.
Sorry, I'm against. No, I'm not actually against Porro going to right wing, but I agree with Dave. He will be nasty. He'll see that halfway line and catch allergies immediately and turn right back. Spence definitely seems to have some sort of resurgence to his career, but he's under surveillance. And I hope somebody, from his camp clips this and sends this to him so he can hear that he's under surveillance severely. Because I've got no more time to be watching our club waste money on players that we have to end up shipping out and then we can't even get 5 million for because people are telling me they've got attitude problems. And I don't even think most of those reports are true. I just think he's been unlucky on loan. But clearly something's gone wrong and he needs to prove himself now. So I'm not trying to hear anything like even this season. I'm not even trying to hear him just being a backup to Porro. I want to see him start games. Like I want to see him put Porro under pressure for that right back spot. And from preseason seems to be getting off to a good start. So he has to keep that up. That's up to him, really. But Porro, that guy's nasty, man. Like he's a nasty piece of work because he's got all the technical qualities. Looks fancy, looks like a shiny piece of vase. But I know fool's gold when I see one because that back post is exposed to the demons of hell, and Romero is always left trying to clean it up, and it's absolute nasty work, and that's why if most people want to really take it on board, we conceded 61 goals last season. You will find that most of those goals came from the right hand side of the fence, mainly back post, and a large portion towards the back end came left hand side of the fence, mainly back post. Once Destiny got injured, so you notice that most people are not insulting Destiny because he does his job, whereas Porro, I don't know what happens to him. A ball goes in and he just watches it and he's like, la 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 la, go safe. We ain't got time for it.
Someone said, "Is that Porro? Is that the tactics?" Watch Porro for 30 minutes. Watch Porro for 10 minutes, and you will see it is Porro. Literally, the guy watches the football in the air, and as it's going over his head, he then decides to move. That is nothing to do with.
You know what, Dave? You've just reminded me of something. Yeah. If you want to know what Porro is like defending, go watch Crystal Palace goal. What's his name? Jordan Ayew scored against us. The ball literally floats over. He's watching it like raw. That's the ball in the air. Amazing. Look at the size of that ball. Pause. Amazing. And when it landed behind him, he's like, oh my goodness. That's not my teammate. Yeah, of course it's not your teammate because you are the furthest back, you stupid little boy. You should have opened your eyes. I don't know why you're sleeping at midnight on July 30th. Nasty, nasty stuff. Spence, make sure you've got somebody, from your camp listening to Ash's pod. Listen to me and listen to me good. Clip this. This is Yao talking to you. I'm giving you sound advice from a man that was born in the 80s. I won't tell you what year in the 80s I was born. I'm giving you sound advice, kid. Put the PS5 down. Make sure you're there to training early. I heard that you were there 3 hours early on one of the preseason games. That's good. That's a good start. Keep that up. Don't drink no Lucasade. Just drink pH 8 water and listen to me good. hear everything that your manager is telling you. Because, kid, if you mess up this season and I have to watch a whole season of Poro defending that back post, it's your legs that I'm going to be after. Yeah, I'm just going to attack you. Just you.
Yeah, with me, Spence, obviously it's early, but I don't doubt the kid's ability. I think when I was watching him pre-season, I kind of like what I saw. And I thought, you know what, I'm kind of excited if he gets his head straight. Defending wise, he's able to get back. He's got a bit of an engine on him. Defensively, he's not too bad. He's got the height as well. So could he defend corners a little bit better than Porro? Possibly. But yeah, the jury's still out. On the ball, I see him put it through man's legs. I said, yeah, I don't mind a bit of that. He's got a decent cross. He's got a goal and he got an assist. So what more can I want from my fullback? He inverts in the midfield at times. I saw him even drop into the 6. I said, tactically, he looks decent. Like he's understanding what Ange wants. So I'm not mad at Spence. And everyone was saying it from day dot. Free the man them. Free Jed. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm here for it. I do hear what everyone's saying though. He needs to be given competition for Porro, and whether he's of that level is a question mark. I was going to do a video on another right back that I've looked at, and someone we're closely linked with who plays for Fiorentina, but I am aware of the time, so I'll say that for next week. But guys, thanks for coming on. Any final words before you leave? Any final thoughts? I'll start with you, Ian.
Yeah, no, nothing particular. Just one comment there that got me about some of the players coming through. That Cess was massively rated. Gill was rated as one of the best youngsters coming out, and we couldn't cultivate them. I think that's in response to whether these players are going to make it. I mean, in fairness, Gill, I don't know. That was just Paratici's brain fart moment, because I don't think he was ever going to be. You took one look at him and thought he's never going to make it in the Premier League, and I think Conte knew that when he was brought in as well. He just isn't physically strong enough. Cess would have been a super left-sided forward for us in this system, but unfit is unfit. But look, I mean, hopefully, if I come on again, Ash, it will be on the basis that we've got a couple of really good signings in, and people, will just calm down. Because I do understand why people are saying, we know what we need to get up to that next level. So I just genuinely hope that within the next week or so we've got those players in, and we can make make a real challenge on the fronts that we're challenging on. But it's my first time on your show, Ash, and thank you for having me on. It's been fun listening to Scott. I've not laughed so much on a stream. And Dave, I have a show as well that I do on a Sunday on Spurs Diehards, Tottenham Till I Die, and I'd love you to come on, and you, Ash, at some point as well. So I can be found at Shaggy1712 for anyone in the chat that doesn't follow me. I'll always follow Spurs supporters back. Dave, if you can get in touch with me as well, I'd love to have you on. Maybe we say the same things too much, but we'll find some things to disagree about. And as I say, thanks guys. Thanks for are you Treble Z? Is that you or Treble Z? Yeah. Okay. Great. So, look. Anyway, thanks. It's been a blast. This show, really good. It's good to see the numbers over 100 in the chat as well over the course of the evening. That's great.
Thanks for coming on. Long time overdue, would I say?
Yeah.
But thank you for coming on, adding your 2 pence. I was going to ask you who do you think right back would be, but you'll probably say Archie Gray. So, but we move anyway. Dave, my brother, thanks for coming on once again. Thanks for chopping it up with me. What are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I don't mind a guy who bets on himself, so go get me Ivan Toney. I don't mind Archie Gray over Basuma. And I hope we smash Harry Winks in the first game against Leicester, because he's living off that one game that he had a few years ago, and I don't like it. So here we go. And oh yeah, Chicken Royale is out of the building. So let's all thank God.
Is that official?
Well, listen.
No, not yet.
Oh,
It's coming. It's coming.
Listen,
getting close.
I literally did not say that guy's name. I didn't say his first name for a good year or so.
Yeah,
That's how bad he was, man. So Chicken Royale has nearly left the building, man. Let's keep it going.
yeah, no, it's getting closer. It's getting closer. Yo, any last thoughts?
Yeah, my last thoughts is Levy, you're under surveillance. Spence, make sure you do your job. And Johnson, work on your shooting because I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah, mad. I agree, man. Johnson, boy, he's got a big season ahead of him, man. So, boy, the jury's out on Johnson. I won't go any further, but yeah, I still think MGW could do a thing if he was to go instead of a Ramsey. I'm not gonna die on that hill, but yeah, we move, man. There's other players I like. As I said, P.Neto would be a good addition, in my opinion. I will talk about that next week, and I'll show my scouting report on him. There is a fullback if we are going to look for another fullback as well that I'm looking at that we'll get into as well. And we'll get into more tactics as always, guys. But as always, if you have liked the show, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you do that, guys. But yeah, man, big up the chat as well, man. Chat's been so helpful today, man. Getting involved as always. And again, just keep on adding your spice, man, because you guys are really appreciated in this community. I am trying to grow that community, as I said before. Members, make sure you jump in. We have got something coming up. I've got plans. But yeah, man, we move, man. But guys, I'm just gonna end on this. In big Andrew trust. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.